Hey everyone. Today, we're going to bust some of those stubborn heating myths that, let's be honest, could be costing you real money and making your home less comfortable, especially with our wild Oklahoma weather. Ready to dive in?
So, picture this. You walk in the door, it is freezing cold inside. What's the very first thing you do? If you're like most of us, you probably march right over to that thermostat and crank it way, way up. But does that actually get the job done any faster?
And that brings us right to our first and probably the most common myth of all, what I like to call the thermostat crank. It's this idea that pushing the number higher means you get heat faster. We've all done it, we've all thought it. Man, I'm cold. I want it to be 70 degrees in here, so I'll just set it to 80, and that'll get me there quicker. It just feels right, doesn't it? A bigger number should mean a bigger push from your furnace.
But here's the big misunderstanding. We love to think of our thermostat like a gas pedal in a car. The harder you press, the faster you go. The reality, though, it's just a simple light switch. It's either on or it's off. That's it.
So here's the deal. Your furnace has only one speed, and that speed is full blast. Whether you set the thermostat to 72 or 92, it's going to fire up and run at its maximum output. Setting it higher doesn't make it work harder, it just makes it run longer. All you're really doing is wasting a bunch of energy and probably overheating your house in the process.
Okay, moving on to the next myth. This one also seems to make perfect sense on the surface, but it can actually be doing some real harm to your heating system.
Ah, a classic. You've got that guest room or maybe an office you barely use. So you think, why heat it? You shut the little vent, thinking you're being super smart, forcing all that precious warm air into the rooms you're actually in.
But here's what's really happening. Closing those vents doesn't really work. Instead, it messes up the whole system. It creates back pressure and totally disrupts the balance your HVAC system was designed to have. It's like giving your furnace high blood pressure. And here's the why behind it. Your home's heating system is a closed loop. Think of it like that. It was built to move a very specific amount of air around. When you close off vents, you're basically putting a kink in a garden hose. The furnace has to work way harder to push the air, which can cause it to overheat, run less efficiently, and end up costing you more money. All right, now for a myth that is a really big deal here in Oklahoma. This is one that might be stopping you from picking a super efficient piece of technology for your home. I hear this one all the time. This idea that, sure, heat pumps are fine when it's just a little chilly, but once a real Oklahoma winter storm rolls in, they just can't handle it.
You know, that's just flat out not true for our climate. That myth probably trickled down from way up north, states where they have weeks and weeks of sub-freezing temperatures. But here in Oklahoma, our winter averages are right in a heat pump's sweet spot for efficiency.
In fact, today's heat pumps are way more efficient than your standard electric furnace, all the way down to temperatures in the low 20s. And let's be real, how often is it actually below 25 degrees for days at a time around here? For the vast majority of our winter, a heat pump is an awesome, super efficient choice.
Oh, and one more thing on this. If you have a heat pump and you've ever felt it blow cool air for a couple of minutes and thought, oh no, it's broken? Don't worry. That is not a failure. It's a totally normal thing called a defrost cycle. It's just doing its job. So if these ideas are so wrong, why do so many of us believe them? Let's take a quick look at why these myths are just so hard to shake. Well, it's a few things, really. For one, you can't see things like airflow or heat transfer, so our brains just kind of fill in the blanks with what seems logical. Some of it is also just old, outdated info from a time when people had totally different systems, like steam heat. And honestly, a lot of times we just do what we saw our parents do growing up. Okay, so we've busted the myths. Now, let's turn all this into a simple, actionable plan for heating your home the right way.
All right, let's do a quick before and after. Instead of cranking the thermostat way up, just set it to the temperature you actually want. Instead of closing vents, keep them all open so the air can flow freely. Use the auto fan setting, not the on setting, to save electricity. And this is a big one. When you replace your furnace, don't just get the same size as the old one. Make sure you get a proper calculation for what your house needs today.
So really, if you only remember 3 things, let it be these. Number 1, keep that air flowing. That means vents open and filters clean. Number 2, set your thermostat to the temperature you want and just let it do its thing. And number 3, make sure your system is the right size for your home. Bigger is definitely not always better.
And there you have it, a quick look at some of those heating myths we have here in Oklahoma.
Just by understanding how your system is really supposed to work, you can save money, be more comfortable, and even help your equipment last longer. So I guess the only question left is, after hearing all this, what's the one thing you're going to change about how you heat your home?